I remember hearing a quote one time, finding our place in the world is a combination of looking for what are the gifts that God has given me, and then pairing that with what is the greatest need in this world. Hi, I'm Chantal Masselink. I graduated in 2018, and I'm an occupational therapist. So after Redeemer, I went on for my master's of occupational therapy. Grad school transition was actually very seamless. I was shocked in many ways because I looked around at many of my peers as they transitioned from being one of hundreds in a classroom to becoming one of 60, whereas that's kind of my wheelhouse at Redeemer. I found it really natural for me to have closer relationships with my professors, to move into project-based work and presentations, but I felt really prepared to meet the academic expectations, but also a lot of those extra, perhaps social expectations that come with the professional program that I was a part of. I'm really curious to see how we respond to having an aging population and how do we provide quality healthcare for them. I'm also really interested to see where AI goes. Part of, I think, the way that I adapt is by being a part of a lot of new initiatives. So even in the midst of COVID, as I was a new grad, I was able to jump in a new program to provide services that we normally would be providing in a hospital setting at home. I think in a season of a lot of fear coming out of COVID and a lot of unpredictability, there's great value in being able to know who we are and whose we are by jumping in there with new, creative, and innovative solutions. Yeah, each summer I was able to take on different jobs that required a variety of skill sets. I often reflected and thought, it's so cool that I get to work at Masselink Bible Center as a community life director and be able to apply the psychology and behavior modification as well as other principles that I had learned in school. After my master's, my first job came out of my last placement, so that was a great connection that was made. My faith plays into my work. Maybe not as obvious as maybe a pastor, but I think to be working with kids with physical and intellectual disabilities, regardless of who it is that I'm working with, I really love being able to start with the foundational knowledge of them being created in the image of God. I think it does shape and change the way that I interact with my client and how I respect them, even if they are a client who isn't able to speak back to me. I think it changes the quality of the care that I provide. Realize that life is about trying something and letting that inform our next decision, our next step. Between a job that makes a lot of money and a job that might allow you to apply some of the skills that might point you in a direction for your career, I think there's great value in being able to take that job. Yeah, the way that God has created me, it really lines well with occupational therapy, but I would also say there's a deep need for occupational therapy. And the things that I was involved in at Redeemer, as much as some might not see the connection as effortlessly as maybe I can, really put together a lot of the things that I am passionate about and love.